everyone, and welcome to Now You Can, your festival of low-code, no-code for financial markets. I'm your host, Georgie Barrett, and I'm delighted to be guiding you through 2 days of live talks with industry leaders, drop-in demo zones with engineers and technology experts, and hours of exclusive on-demand content and resources only available here. Whether you are new to this technology, an experienced user, or just simply curious, we've got you covered. In a moment, I'll be joined by our host for day one, who will explain the agenda and how today will run before diving in. But be sure to check out the full lineup on the homepage, as there's multiple events for you to enjoy. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Felipe Oliveira for an overview of how the festival will run. Felipe, welcome.
Hi, Georgie. I'm glad to be here, and hello everyone dialing in. I'm Felipe Oliveira, COO at Genesis, and it's my pleasure to be guiding you through how low-code and no-code technology is solving financial markets industry challenges. We have a packed lineup of both live appointment to view content from 2 to 5 p.m. PST and on-demand content available anytime. So we've organized Now You Can into 4 different zones. The talk zones, which we're in now, the demo zone, tech zone, and client zone. Divided into 3 distinct talks, this zone will host guests from across the industry, from Accel to Citibank, to discuss how low-code, no-code technology is transforming IT delivery. Drop into the demo zone to chat live with a Genesis platform expert or to watch application demos on demand. Join the tech zone to chat with an engineer about development or watch explanations of our low-code tooling. Lastly, today we will focus on industry challenges before turning to the technology for day 2 tomorrow.
Well, Felipe, thank you very much for that overview. You've managed to pack a lot in, haven't you? That's all amazing stuff. So finally, just talk to me about the talk zones. What's going to happen there?
Sure, Georgie. Taking a more detailed look at the lineup and our theme of Now You Can, we will be joined by experts from Accel, Citibank, Salesforce, Google Ventures, and more to discuss their views on low-code, no-code, and how the technology is transforming IT delivery in financial markets. In just a moment, we will jump into our first session on how the Genesis low-code, no-code platform is solving industry challenges and how the technology reduces time to market by 5 times, solving a wide range of complex financial market use cases. At 3 o'clock, we'll then turn to our work with Citibank and Bank of America in electronic platforms, solving particular challenges facing the collateralized loan market. Finally, at 4 o'clock BST, we'll round off the day with a panel discussion between financial markets and technology leaders on how low-code, no-code technology is transforming IT delivery. As Georgie said, check out the Now You Can homepage for the full agenda for the 2 days and drop into the other zones to chat live with platform and technology experts. Back to you, Georgie.
Well, thank you very much, Felipe. I, for one, can't wait for those talks. Right, let's now head to Miami for an update from Genesis CEO and co-founder, Stephen Murphy.
Hello and welcome to the Genesis Now You Can event. I'm Stephen Murphy, CEO and co-founder of Genesis. If you are joining us live or on demand, we really appreciate you taking the time to join us. We have participants from all corners of the world, so thank you for joining us as we make, share and discuss the game-changing world of low-code and no-code in the financial markets. There's a lot of buzz right now around low-code and no-code platforms. Over the course of the next 2 days, we'll explore the Genesis world of low-code and no-code and how we are very different from other platforms. We built Genesis specifically for the demanding requirements of the financial markets. We will discuss the difference between the first generation low-code, no-code platforms that were built primarily for citizen developers and simple use cases like BPM, and then explain what is required of the next generation low-code, no-code platform to truly satisfy the complex and varied set of requirements within the financial markets. We will hear from real clients discussing how using the Genesis platform, they were able to break the old paradigm of buy versus build to a new, completely different paradigm of buy to build. So Genesis clients can buy the Genesis platform to build at extreme speed and drastically reduce operational cost and risk. Truly game-changing. Our Now You Can agenda is over 2 days, kicking off today, with our Industry Day, and tomorrow, our Technology Day. Both days we have clients, partners, investors, and the Genesys team discussing the key topics within our industry, example use cases of low-code, no-code, and some of our new technology platform features. The Now You Can event is a key part of the Genesys journey, post our recent Series B investment, bringing together the very best global thought leadership to help drive change within our industry, to deliver software faster than ever before, at reduced cost and risks. As many of you know, the Genesis to Genesys was that we thought there had to be a better way to build software. Before microservices was a buzzword, we started building our platform to abstract away the complexity of building microservices-based applications. We wanted to make sure our platform was capable of covering the complete spectrum of use cases that we had seen in our careers and our experiences within the industry. So we created Genesys as the enterprise solution for everyone within the financial markets. Whether you are migrating from your legacy technical architecture, integrating into legacy vendor technologies, all the way through to building completely complex trading venues, the Genesys platform is a platform of choice. We built the platform for an industry which is highly regulated, with specific needs, whether it's auditing of data, all the way through to a high transactional throughput of complex data sets. With Genesys, you can build at least 5 times faster than building yourself or using another first-generation low-code, no-code platform. The end result will always be highly performant, secure, resilient, and a scalable application. Finally, I would like to thank you again for joining us for the Now You Can event. Enjoy the sessions, and please do join us in the virtual breakout zone and meet the team. A huge thank you to our clients, investors, partners, and colleagues for putting on a great show that I'm very excited to share with you all. Please do reach out anytime to the team or myself to discuss how Genesys can help you code less and do more. Thank you.
And welcome to the part of the show where we're going to be exploring industry challenges and problems that Genesys solve. I'm joined by James Ferguson, VP of Sales. James, a very warm welcome to you. Can you talk us through what you've got in store for us today?
Hello, Georgie, and welcome to everyone that's tuning in. Today, we'll be running through a series of demos illustrating how Genesys is solving key industry challenges. We're going to kick off by taking a look at Genesys's Prime Broker portal, as it's a great example of how we help firms like prime brokers to reduce the cost of servicing their clients through digital transformation. The prime broker's ongoing challenge in supporting their clients is that the data their asset management and hedge fund clients are interested in sits within different databases and systems across the organization. So you've got this combination of client support dealing with inquiries and tech support sitting beneath that, extracting and manipulating data to provide to the clients. It's very people intensive, inefficient, and costly for the business to manage. So let's take a look at the portal we built to solve for that.
Brilliant. Let's have a little look at the first demo.
Hi, I'm Peter Elkibben and I'm a sales manager at Genesys. Today, I have the pleasure of showcasing the Genesys self-service prime brokerage portal. We have worked with a well-known global prime brokerage firm to leverage the Genesys low-code, no-code platform and build an application for their internal innovation competition for new business ideas. The prime broker in question was focused on larger clients with complex requests and serviced them generally via email and phone. However, the prime broker wanted to extend their service to small and mid-tier clients. In doing this, the prime broker needed to implement a technical solution to service these clients, which in turn allowed its business to scale. To solve this challenge, Genesys built the Prime Broker, a self-service client portal for its smaller hedge funds and asset managers. The portal or web GUI provided clients with an easy and transparent way to view their data and send through requests and smaller actions, meaning they no longer needed to phone the client service team for simple day-to-day actions such as accessing reports, cash movements, and other general account servicing requests. This allowed the prime broker to expand their business without straining the existing client service team. The application is web deployed and allows the client to view their data in a comprehensive way and can be run on both tablet and desktop. Let's run through the key features of the portal. The portal provides its clients with 3 levels of client information: The first one, risk information. The portal displays multiple accounts and the corresponding margin positions. Data is provided on both a high level and a sub-account level. Using heat map technology and visualizations, it shows the client where margin levels are lowest and where action is needed. The second level is clearing data and transactional information. It provides information around orders and executions. The third level is cash management information. This provides the client information in a comprehensive way on a dashboard with the necessary real-time and end-of-day data. And now, let me show you the application. Let's log in. A user always starts at the dashboard, which is a highly visual representation of key data and metrics. The application then has 4 additional tabs: risk information, clearing information, cash management, and reporting. Let's start with the accounts overview. It displays the client's multiple accounts and their overall margin position. It shows for each account the margin excess or deficit and information on the cash, OTE, margin cover, and total equity position. Where a client has multiple sub-accounts, it is possible to drill down and view each account in isolation. In the margin summary on the right-hand side, the margin cover is shown with heat map visualizations and instructs the client if action is required and they need to post more cash or collateral. Note that this system receives information from the internal margining position. Furthermore, the dashboard provides summary information where you can view notional position, P&L, breakdown by region, biggest winners and losers, and largest holdings. You can interact with the charts as such. Other features are the alerting panel, customizable pop-up alerts, and the interactive agent Ask Autumn. These further increase the self-sufficiency of the portal and introduce an element of interaction to the whole application. The dashboard has all key information in one place, and combined with the notification and alerts will keep the client well informed throughout the trading day. Tab 2. The Risk tab shows you everything you need to know about your margin requirements. You can view your margin cover on an account and on a sub-account basis. Furthermore, it shows you data on your positions, orders, and executions. Note that the grids are fully customizable and make it very easy to sort data. Tab 3. Clearing. Moving into clearing, this tab shows the client everything they need to know about their account on a post-trade basis. It provides information on trades, positions, and balances. Note again, the grids are fully customizable to the client's needs. Tab 4. Cash management. This tab shows the client how much cash is in each account and the movements per account. The client can move cash around from different sub-accounts to cover any intraday margin requirements. Where cash balances are kept in different currencies, the client can instruct an FX conversion in or across an account. Different real-time margin calculations are visualized below to keep the clients well informed during the trading day. Lastly, the application allows the client to produce their own customizable reports using the ad hoc report writer. They can create their own reports through basic tooling by adding and saving various query fields. Once defined, reports can be exported via Excel or CSV file. Thank you for watching.
Great demo there, James. What key message would you like the audience at home to take from that demo?
I think it's important to emphasize the power and flexibility that can be leveraged through the platform. There are multiple back-end APIs and SFTP processes at work, and the web front end sits within the bank's portal environment, so it uses their livery, their colors, their security and login processes. We even had this application hooked up to Amazon Alexa for a completely hands-free end-user experience.
I like it that you linked it up to Alexa. Did she listen to you?
Only when there was a margin call to be had.
Okay, let's speak about your second demo. You selected Beaton for this. Can you tee it up for us? Why did you select this particular one, and what are the key themes that you want people to look out for?
Sure, Georgie. So next up is the outsourced dealing application we built for a new London-based vendor, Beaton. They're offering a multi-asset EMS for asset managers and an OMS, which incorporates smart broker router technology, making intelligent routing decisions based on previous broker performance. Beaton understood the challenges faced by buy-side firms around best execution, cost of running in-house trading teams, and the supporting tech stacks, but they needed a technology partner that would enable them to bring their disruptive and complex business application to fruition rapidly and cost-effectively. They were able to achieve this with Genesys. So let's take a look.
Hi, I am Pieter Nel and I am a sales manager at Genesys Global. And today I have the pleasure of showcasing the Genesys solution built for Beaton, an outsourced trading desk. With increasing buy-side sophistication, increasing regulatory oversight and the hunt for alpha, we have worked with Beaton to leverage the Genesys LCAP platform to build a solution that tackles the industry challenges and provide a state-of-the-art smart broker router for best execution. The outsourced trading desk application built for Beaton is a back-to-front solution that offers connectivity to buy-side trading applications and the executing brokers. And now, let me demo the Beaton build for you. The Beaton solution comprises of two components. The first being the client user interface, the second being the Beaton internal application. What I will be taking you through today is the client user interface. Let's log in. The first thing you'll see is our navigation window on the left-hand side. Here you can see the main functionalities of the application: orders, analytics, transaction cost analysis, positions, risk limits, user admin, and reporting. Important to know is that the navigation bar is controlled by a granular set of user permissions, allowing clients and users to see only what they need to, creating a safe and secure environment. For the sake of the demo, we've set us up as a super user, enabling us to see all the available features and functionalities of this application. Let's start by looking at the orders. At the top, you can see the parent orders. When selected, below in the trade blotter, you can see the trades belonging to your selected parent order. The grids you see are highly customizable and made by AG Grids. You can drag, drop, and customize according to your liking. For example, I can get rid of the expiry column as such, or I can move the strategy column as such. By clicking on the various hamburgers you see here, here, or here, you can filter and search for a specific trade or data. Now, let's enter an order live from the buy side. When clicking on the blue buy button, you see the specifics of your trade entry. You can select your buy or sell trade, you can select your quantity, you can use our fast keys to speed up your entry. You can use a T for 1000 and an M for million. You can specify your account and specify your price type. You can say market, limit or stop limit. You can select an instrument of your choosing from our preloaded database, making it easy and fast to enter trades. You can quickly select your flow type. You can choose for a care order, a DMA order, or even an algo order. Let's use DSA order. When choosing DSA as a flow type, you can also select various strategies such as volume weighted average price, MOC, and POV, and IS. When choosing VWAP, you can specify service parameters according to your strategy. Let's submit an order. As you can see here, the order has been put through and filled by the broker. You can see different trades filling up the order in the trade blotter below. You can set certain limits. This is usually meant for the compliance officers or a head of a trading desk. You can set warnings or fat finger checks, or for example, you can set a trade limit at say 1 million shares of Vodafone. The system will prompt you with a warning and not let you put through the trades above your specified limit. Next to the trade blotter, we also provide graphics in our execution chart, providing visualization on the size and frequency of the trades. To make your life even easier, we have a shortcut ribbon with buttons at the top here. Here you can filter the blotter content or quickly delete or adjust a trade order. You can also search active versus completed orders or filter for individual columns. Lastly, we have a quick search bar for quick navigation in the order grid itself. Let's move to the second tab, the Analytics. Here you can see 4 panes. The first one is your daily trade data. Here you can see a set of interactive charts that clients can customize and define according to their own liking. On the left-hand side, you have the columns, and on the right-hand side, you see a big pie chart. For this build, we have decided to use AM charts. You can sort data by broker or by strategy. You can slice and dice data in different ways according to your own needs. For example, you can look at pure volume, or you can look at notional value of a trade order. You can sort data by different values. You can use open order, completed order, order volume, order notional, commission, or average commission fees. This provides the user with an economic way of looking at their trade data. The second tab, Benchmark, shows the client his or her total cost of their trades. Total cost is broken down in commission, which you can see here, and slippage, which you can see here. Slippage is calculated against the TCA benchmark. This allows you to monitor best execution and understand broker performance. Again, you can view the data in different ways. You can view it in cash price or BPS, or split it by broker, or even by strategy. The strategy view allows you to monitor costs and slippage per order type. The final tab, daily and monthly, are effectively time series representations. The first showing daily volumes by broker, the second showing a monthly view. Both show you notional value per broker. You can select and view different brokers for your liking. For example, you can view only broker 1, view all brokers, or view only broker 1 and 4. The same applies to your monthly data. You can do so as you wish. Now, let's move on to our third tab, our Transaction Cost Analysis or TCA tab. This is effectively a historical trade database. Here you can find each individual trade and its performance. There are various sorting features allowing you to find outliers with ease. For example, you can sort by costs, for example to find your most expensive trade. This makes it easy for the users to spot outliers and analyze performance. Secondly, you can look up trades by entering their ticker in the search bar at the top. Now, let's move on to our fourth tab, our Positions tab. This, in effect, is a real-time positions, throughput per day, per instrument, per fund. If you so wanted, you can import start-of-day positions by importing an external file via a simple standard Excel template or CSV file. Last but certainly not least, thank you for watching.
Great application there. Any particular highlights for you after watching that?
It's important to highlight that this is really just one example of many new e-platforms where Genesis has been selected to develop a solution that brings positive disruption and efficiency gains to the industry. Others include the new CLO auction platform announced in the press last month. We're building in partnership with Citigroup and Bank of America. We're also working with Chinafic, building their platform for international investors to efficiently access the Chinese markets.
So you work with a really broad range of e-platforms.
That's right, Georgie, absolutely.
Okay, let's look through to the final demo because we've chosen the new Prime Issuance platform for asset managers. Now, we can't mention the client name, but there is integration with Genesis partner Symphony. Isn't that right, James?
That's right, Georgie. So this final demo is hot out of development and showcases a new bond issuance platform we are working on for a top-tier global investment bank and asset manager. The current pricing workflows between portfolio managers, traders, and analysts are very manual, and communication is decentralized. So here, you will see how we have embedded the Genesis application within Symphony to streamline workflows, enhance pricing of new issues, and provide powerful analytics.
Great stuff. Let's take a little look.
Hi everyone! The existing syndication process for new bond issuance is highly manual and relies upon voice, email and spreadsheets. Traders need to disseminate targeted information to portfolio managers about upcoming bond issuance. A portfolio manager needs to not only see what issues are available, but to importantly know which of these may be more suitable for their clients. The Genesis bond issuance application creates a fast and efficient process for both reviewing what issues are of interest to the portfolio manager and for gathering the total combined interest so the trader can bid in the external market. By integrating this syndication workflow into Symphony, the client is able to facilitate targeted discussions between portfolio managers and traders in a secure and compliant way. Let's take a look.
Let's have a look how Genesis has integrated primary issuance and syndication workflow application into Symphony. First, we will show you this app running in Symphony 1.5 before switching to the new 2.0 later on. To get a start, we first have to add the application from the Symphony market. Click Add Applications and either search or browse for the Genesis Issuance app. Return to Symphony and you are ready to go. We can now see that the Genesis Issuance application has been installed. To use the application, click on Genesis Issuance. We can see a list of new bonds being issued in the grid, along with important snapshot and analytical information. As with all Genesis applications, the user can configure, filter, and sort the data grid. If I click on a column header like time, I can easily sort the rows by ascending or descending time order. If I click the filter icon on the issue column, I can search and filter the grid. On the right-hand side of any grid, I can click columns to configure my view. I can include or exclude columns, as well as group and aggregate the data. Any changes are always automatically saved. Let's now have a look at analytics. Genesis has the ability to customize and embed internal analytics into the issuance application. When a user clicks a particular bond, the screen below updates and displays a yield curve, along with other key metrics and criteria determined by an organization or bank. Now, we move on to the syndication workflow with chat room integration. When a user selects a bond from the grid, the issuance application will show its syndication chat room below the analytical data. In this case, a chat room doesn't yet exist, so by clicking the button, the Genesis Issuance application automatically creates the new chat room to start the syndication process. When we click on the new chat, we can see that the Symphony bot integration has automatically added a number of interested parties into the room. From here, traders can collaborate and discuss any particulars relating to the new bond being issued. Being within Symphony means that all communications are encrypted and compliant. The Genesis Issuance application is also fully compatible with Symphony 2.0. Anyone running on 1.5 can try out the latest generation of Symphony by clicking the Try Symphony 2.0 from the Settings menu. All issuance-specific chat rooms are still listed just as before, but to access the Genesis Issuance app, you just need to click the Issuance link at the top of the screen. Genesis. Code less, do more.
The Genesis bond issuance application enables traders to gather information and provide insights into upcoming issues, disseminating these internally for portfolio managers to review. A manual, inefficient, and time-consuming process across email, spreadsheets, and voice has been replaced with an efficient, secure, and compliant workflow solution.
Well, great seeing you partnering with another vendor there. Are there any final takeaways that you'd like to leave the audience with?
The main takeaway here is Genesis is rarely the whole solution. The platform can be the glue that orchestrates workflow between many systems. The platform's back-end server has a powerful suite of technical integrations, industry adapters and APIs, which you'll hear about tomorrow, so our clients can leverage Genesis to build around legacy systems and major vendor packages to enhance their product offerings at significantly reduced time to market.
Great stuff. And if people want to follow up and find out more, where should they head to?
Sure, if anyone would like to join myself and colleagues, we're in the live demo zone now. Head over to the zone for on-demand demos and meet up for a chat. Just follow the links, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Great stuff. So the zones are the place to be. Thank you very much, James. Well, to close off our first talk of the day, I'd like to invite Nelly and Felipe to join James and I for a panel discussion on industry themes and challenges facing financial markets. Nelly, let me come to you first of all. Can you speak about what it was like working with Beaton? How did that process unfold?
Thank you, Georgie. In this case, I'd like to highlight how our platform has really increased the development process for the Beaton project. As you might well know, that our platform inherently has ready set business components and a microservices architecture. And we were able to leverage this and already built the foundation of the project very, very quickly. Think of kind of think of integration, think of capturing different assets. And then we were able to use all our efforts and all our development capabilities to kind of cater for the specific needs of the project. Think of TCA analysis, think of expanding the trade capture, think of the smart order routing. And I think this combination has been great and has really allowed us to provide a unique proposition for the client. So.
Great stuff. So that's a sort of specific client use case. James, let me come to you. How is low code working across financial markets? A little bit more generally, how is this technology actually helping firms accelerate their digital transformation?
Sure, yes. So I think we're seeing unprecedented disruption and innovation across the industry, whether it's new fintech businesses, whether it's new e-platforms that are consortia-backed, or whether it's more established firms which are looking to build new offerings, digitize those offerings. So what low-code, no-code platforms are doing? They're enabling IT and business stakeholders to work more efficiently. And we're really seeing this in evidence in the speed at which these low-code platforms are growing in terms of size. In fact, the research provider Gartner is predicting that the market size of low-code, no-code platforms is going to increase tenfold by 2030.
Wow.
From about $18 billion now to about $187 billion. They're also predicting that large enterprises will be using at least 4 low-code, no-code platforms by 2025. So I think really one of the biggest challenges then for these firms is how do they decide which platform to go for?
Yeah.
And if the requirements are very financial market specific, if you're looking to build a new prime issuance platform like you've seen already, or for example, a brand new OMS, like with the Beaton case, you need to make sure that the building blocks within the platform are purpose built for those requirements, right? It should inherently understand financial markets instruments. It should be able to handle market data. It should be resilient, scalable, secure, and it should also have standard integration protocols, adapters to other vendor packages as well. And I think what you find if you look under the hood of the Genesis platform is that the platform's been built from the ground up to support all of those aspects.
Brilliant stuff. So all that functionality and, hopefully you'll sort of be growing within that market space.
Hopefully.
Felipe, let me come to you because, something we constantly hear is that CTOs are having to work on tighter budgets and do it quicker as well. What does this particular technology mean for them?
George, I think it means excellence for them. The value you bring to your business depends on one's ability to solve real-life problems. And the Genesis technology empowers CIOs, CTOs, and their respective teams to do exactly that. Deliver ultra-fast, high-performing solutions that give them tremendous agility to future-proof their business and put them at the pole position versus the competition. So it's like having a Formula One car at your disposal to get you to the finish line every single time. And it's not just about delivering ultra-fast solution, it's about innovating so you can stay ahead, you can win business and thrive.
Great stuff. I mean, I like the Formula One car analogy. Nelly, you spoke about your relationship with Beaton and building that solution. Have you got another product development story that you'd particularly like to highlight today?
Yes, I do. In this case, before I dive into the products or the projects themselves, I'd like to highlight the versatility of our platform. Take, for example, our project with StoneX. We worked with them to build a middle office solution, but quickly the requirement grew and we incorporated the capture of fixed income in their product. And often you see that we start to work with clients on a specific use case or a specific project. And we see that these requirements grow, the clients want more, and our platform is perfect for such a growing requirement because we can cater for all of that. And you can see that our projects, our platform caters for all their different needs as we grow within the business. And another great example of this is, for example, ING. We started working for them for their CPRI team, and we've delivered a great project, and now we're working for another team, the fund finance team. And both projects are totally different, yet our platform is able to cater for both. So again, the versatility and the speed of our platform is great and allows us to grow within the client's business.
So it's highly, highly adaptable. James, let's sort of focus out a little bit and speak about some of the wider industry challenges. Are there other problems that low-code, no-code can solve within the industry, do you think?
Oh yes, absolutely. I think we're seeing a paradigm shift, right? And hopefully we're also driving that paradigm shift. And that's from a traditional kind of buy versus build approach to actually providing firms with a different kind of proposal, and that is buy then build. Really, if you look across the industry, it's very saturated with a lot of large vendor systems out there. These vendor systems are very good at delivering certain types of functionality, but they're also quite inflexible. So when it comes to actually addressing evolving clients' needs, that can be problematic. And that's really one of the areas that Genesys can come in and help, and one of the areas where we start an engagement. Let me give you a couple of examples. So if we take, for example, the wealth management suite. For that particular case, the client's incumbent system was a sell-side order management system, and that catered really to the market-side trading functionality. But on the client-side trading functionality for the financial advisors, everything was very manual, phone, emails. So we built a completely brand new multi-asset RFQ platform, also product portfolio proposal tools as well, to really automate a lot of those processes, and that really enabled them to scale. Another example, in the treasury space, we're helping some firms really deliver technology strategies within the treasury space, building around their core systems, like for example Murex. To give you an example, there we've built an integration and marshalling service between the native Murex with the bank's in-house quant library, and that's enabling them to then consolidate risk. So pretty powerful stuff, and. So really, what's the objective of Genesys, right? We aim to deliver the first use case. After that, we want our clients to start building on the platform themselves. We'll work with our clients in order to enable them to do that. Really, that's the end goal. Is if that's the client's preferred model, is to move more towards a self-service kind of model, and that's the direction of travel for Genesys at the moment.
Well, Felipe, Genesys are going through enormous growth at the moment. Can you tell us what's going to come in the next couple of months? What's in store for 2021 and beyond?
Sure, Georgie. I think following the Series B raise that we had at the end of March in Q1, we continue to invest heavily into the platform, and we're entering what we call a new phase of enterprise technology, making it possible for the entire organization to work seamlessly with the Genesys technology to solve both simple but complex use cases as well. By means of our specific APIs and our low and no code interfaces, which can be integrated across the different vertices of organizations, we're empowering the users to use our sophisticated tools and tooling within the platform to solve these problems. And this is quite transformational because this allows us to delve a little bit deeper into the technology stack and actually provide a full, from start to finish, enterprise offering into the market. The Genesys best-in-class code base is also something that we should be proud of because it allows users to have cutting-edge technology around deployment, maintenance, and also surveillance. So it's a full new paradigm that we're actually entering now with the Genesys technology, where we're taking the technology, which is really exciting for us. So we're very excited about that upcoming roadmap.
Well, on that very positive note, I just want to say, Nelly, James and Felipe, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, I think we can all agree that was a fantastic way to kick off the festival. Don't forget to check out the other great content available. Simply navigate to the other zones using the link at the top of the page. Up next, we have some exciting exciting news about the project Genesis and Citibank have been working on and the specific financial markets challenges they're solving in consortia through low-code, no-code technology. Stay tuned. and welcome to our second session of the day, discussing the Citi and Genesis relationship on how low-code, no-code is addressing key industry challenges with a special focus on collateralized loan obligations. I'm delighted to be joined by Stephen Murphy, CEO and co-founder of Genesis, William Brown, who is a product owner at Genesis. And from Citi, we have Katya Shuprinya, VP Strategic Investor at Sprint, and Brian Bajel, Head of Loan Portfolio Trading. A warm welcome to you all. Nice to see you all virtually in our studio. Now, to get underway, let me explain how we've structured our discussion today and the different sections that we're going to be exploring. So, to begin with, Stephen and Katya will talk to us about the Citi and Genesis relationship and how the low-code, no-code advantage is transforming business and tech. We also have some specially created animations to share that illustrates how Genesis is addressing key industry themes, challenges, and use cases. Then Brian will share his thoughts on the market challenges of CLO. We then have a panel discussion with Brian, Will, and Stephen on how low-code, no-code is the only choice to address the unique market challenges that consortia present. And then finally, I'll invite all of our guests to join for a wrap-up panel discussion and Q&A. Yes, this is going to be a fast-paced, content-packed insight on low-code, Genesis, and Citibank. So to get underway, Katya, let me come to you first of all. Can you just tell us a little bit more about your mandate at Citi?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm Katya Shuprinya. I lead market infrastructure investing within our global spread products business, and my team is called Sprint. Our mandate is really to invest and incubate growth and early stage companies that are going to be strategic to our broader credit business in the medium to long term. And as a strategic investor, we really spend a lot of time trying to think how to commercialize the companies that we invest in. And also by putting the small equity stakes into these companies, we actually partner up with CEOs to get their perspective on latest industry trends and how we can become part of the innovation together. So in other words, we're trying to become part of the innovation discussion instead of being victim to disruption. And since our inception about 2 years ago, Sprint has invested in 2,000 companies, Genesis being one of them. And the companies range from prop tech to trading venues to market infrastructure to low-code platform now. And we have really partnered with those companies and really took on new challenges, including this first consortium that we will be discussing later today.
So you mentioned low code there. What were some of the biggest challenges you were facing as an organization that made you want to start this relationship with Genesis?
So one of the biggest challenges we actually face is just demand for technology work. Everything we do needs technologists. It's anything from improving efficiency to delivering regulatory necessary changes to improving our risk and kind of control environment to innovating how our own markets trade. So we've been expanding the technology organization by thousands of engineers and developers every year, but there's still a lot of ideas that are left kind of untouched or underdeveloped. So by embracing low-code, no-code platforms like Genesis, we can enable innovation faster, and we can also get to a lot of the projects that previously would have been just a little bit too far out of the reach. And the challenge for specifically my market, which is credit market, is electronification. So we are far, far behind our peers in more liquid markets like foreign exchange and equities in terms of just electronic adoption of within trading, within data integration, within kind of all aspects of interacting with our clients. And we kind of embarked on this journey to build a electronic trading platform. That's how we actually met Genesis. It's best told as kind of an anecdotal story. We were doing an RFP to build a multi-dealer trading venue, and we sent out RFP to probably a dozen or so different vendors, from very big kind of household names to relatively small specialized companies. And in the passing, one of my colleagues in technology has mentioned Genesys as kind of just, an interesting idea to throw in the mix. And we met Genesys for the first time, and we got a proposal absolutely in record time. There was no kind of educational and very long meetings and consulting type of meetings. We just got a proposal back. And the interesting portion there was it was actually just too good to be true. And that prompted us to do what I would consider the longest due diligence I've ever seen from technology perspective. So we engaged our colleagues across our organization in technology specifically to review what Genesys showed us. And the outcome was like, we can actually do even more with this company than what you just have on your work slate right now. And we started coming up with other use cases. Some of those were around EUC elimination, which is a huge challenge for a lot of the banks right now, and also some of the buy side. We also figure out that this is going to be a company that's best fit for us to partner on proof of concept for ideas that are very early stage that we want to develop kind of as part of our acceleration labs and other processes. And ultimately, we found out that this is the perfect fit for Project Octopus, which again we'll be discussing later. But just to give you a context, the proposal that we got from Genesys was about 5 to 7 times shorter in terms of time to development, was significantly cheaper. And we actually got to see a proper POC from the company within 3 months. So it was a really great outcome, and that embarked us on our journey as both the investors, but also as users of Genesys platform.
Stephen, you were lightning fast. You were in there with your proposal, and it sounds like you made rapid change really quickly. So what challenges are you hoping to solve specifically with low code? It sounds like you're already meeting so much the market needs.
Yeah, so low code, no code, I think, has become really relevant now, both in the overall financial markets industry, as well as specifically the credit industry. So I'll quickly touch on both of those. There's a concept which has been around for a long time called RAD, Rapid Application Development. And that's been around for a long, long time. And really, low code, no code is just another phase of that, another phase of giving normal developers the tools to be able to develop even more efficiently, even more effectively, even quicker. So when we think about it right now, low code, no code is going through huge change in our industry. The first forms of no code, low code platforms were very much focused on what we call BPM, business process management, and RPA, robotic process automation. And they're very much on the simple end of the spectrum of complexity. And really the kind of core systems are not really BPM, RPA systems. They're more like secondary systems built around core systems. So there's really three big differences about the way we approached building our low code, no code platform. The first thing was we built the platform from the ground up based on the concept of technical architecture design of microservices for really complex use cases, not the simple BPM, RPA type use cases. And that's a really, really big distinction. So we were looking at things called event-driven architecture, EDA, CEP, complex event processing. So what was very different about us was we attacked the really hard use cases, and then we come down to also make sure the platform could solve the more simpler BPM use cases. Once we had that done, those are agnostic to any industry. But then we built the industry-specific components on top of that, which are specific to financial markets. And thirdly, the big difference with us was when we went to market, a key part of our go-to-market strategy was actually building industry applications with our clients. So changing this model of buy versus build, so buying from a big vendor, a black box solution, or trying to build this yourself. And what we wanted to do and what we proved is with the Genesys low code, no code platform, you can buy and build. So we wanted to give our clients' developers, as well as our own developers, all of this, what we think of like Formula One engineering. They get all of those tools to be able to, for them to be supercharged, to be able to develop quicker, easier, faster, and better. I just want to say one more thing, actually. There's in this whole low-code, no-code space, there's a quite big term used, a concept used around citizen developers. And a lot of these low-code, no-code platforms have been focused on citizen developers who are your non-typical developer, more like business analysts, and making them productive. We are actually now focused more on approaching those citizen developers, but our initial focus was very much around supercharging
the normal developer, giving them the tools that Formula One engineers have to be able to build at speed and to build at that type of efficiency. So as Katja mentioned before, that's enabled us to be able to develop things at least 5 times quicker and substantially cheaper than either trying to build those applications yourself, our clients, but also against competing against another vendor or consulting firm. But the client also gets the benefit that they get the platform as well, so they can enhance, they can integrate it, so they get the best of buy and build.
And it's sort of speed and agility seems like the operative words there, words often associated with startups. Katja, having both worked in the large enterprise space and also the startup world, do you see these platforms really enabling enterprises to move like a startup?
I absolutely do. And the product to market speed is something that we definitely aspire to. And it's something that I've definitely seen in startup world much more than in a bigger enterprise. Unfortunately, the attitude of move fast and break things does not necessarily get good toleration in organizations like ours for obviously very good reasons. It's a heavily regulated and highly complex industry with a lot of existing platforms and ecosystems and legacy technology. So what we really found with low-code platforms is we can get the speed and efficiency without necessarily compromising on that quality and control that we ultimately need. And to Steven's point about citizen developers, it's an interesting concept that has been around in financial industry for some time. But reality is you want to separate traders from doing simple things like pulling up data and visualizing data away from building actual trading venues and putting real specs and logic into it. And in our experience building various things with Genesis, but especially trading venue, we had both technology people from Citi, and we also had our trading colleagues, including Brian, in the room, and we were developing those systems on the fly. Things were updated on the fly, and having seen a lot of traders in my life, having been a trader back in the day myself, I just know that traders do not necessarily have the patience to spend those hours and hours, going around the specs. And the beauty of low code is you can actually update things on the go, and it gives people immediate results, which makes them much more involved and interested in the process itself, and it kind of becomes a feedback loop, a positive feedback loop that keeps everybody in and keeps everybody extremely engaged. And I think also just delivery of the product and delivery of POC on such a short term gives us the ability to constantly iterate and get feedback from whether it's clients, whether it's other kind of participants in the platform, but we can constantly iterate the versions and keep improving platforms. So it's not one static system that we built and we're sitting on, and next time it's going to get updated is 3 years from now, which by the way is actually a true story of how a lot of the previous trading venues have been developed. They get created once and then they just sit there till they get completely out of touch with reality. So that's the biggest change, and I think this is how low code enabled us to really move faster, is that ability to interactively build things together. It's giving our developers better tools when they need them and faster tools and more efficient tools. It's being able to build together with the traders, the trading business, trading technologists at the kind of in the same room at the same time, and give everybody full and complete visibility of why and how things are created. I think it just empowers everybody at the organization.
I mean, it sounds like the partnership between Genesis and Citi has been really sort of natural and fruitful. Steven, do you think the market is sort of ready for low code, no code? Do you think it's ripe for the next stage of using this?
For sure. I think we're at a really pinnacle point right now. I think the reason I think it's ripe for it is that, one, there's a huge amount of regulatory change happening with the industry. There's a huge amount of competition for innovation. And you picked up on those things as well, of time to market, innovation, speed, and also cost. So firms, whether or not they're a buy-side firm, whether they're a market infrastructure, whether or not a treasury desk, a broker-dealer, a bank, having to revisit all of these things that actually play into their bottom line, their profits. And what we see right now is that there's a huge part of the industry which is going through electronification. And I think one of the challenges we have at Genesis is there has been a lot of hype around low-code, no-code. There's been a lot of hype because they've really been portraying the fact that they'd be able to solve lots of complex things. And what a lot of our clients, which we hear from right now, is, "Oh, you're another low-code, no-code platform." And actually, we're far from that because of the reasons I mentioned, the approach we took. And what we're doing right now, very similar to the consulting platform that we built with both Brian and Katya, that was actually opening up the market. What we're doing with the way we've approached our low-code, no-code platform is really explaining to the market how they can do more with this. It's not just the BPM, RPA type use cases. You can build a consortium trading platform. You can replace very complex end-user computing spreadsheets. You can build new industry applications. We've actually got some clients who have built complete new fintech companies on the platform. So I think to answer your question, yes, it's definitely right. I think we're coming at a very unique time in history around new businesses, new fintechs, and the reason we positioned Genesys the way we did is that should all be built on our platform. And it's the really complex things that we started with. And then we went down to the very simple things.
Brilliant stuff. Stephen, Katya, thank you so much. Right, we're now going to share some specially created animations which illustrate how Genesys is addressing key industry themes, challenges, and will bring to life some of the use cases we've been discussing. So we're going to start with watching end-user computing, then that's going to be followed by new industry apps, and we'll conclude with e-platforms. When we return, we'll be joined by Brian, who will be discussing the market challenges of the CLO business. First though, let's have a little look at these.
Firms are weighed down with legacy systems and cumbersome vendor solutions. The software is essential to day-to-day operations, but is expensive to maintain and difficult to modify. They are built on old technologies, so organizations feel stuck without an easy way to innovate and evolve their business. The Genesys low-code, no-code platform is dedicated to financial markets and is often used to wrap around core legacy systems, setting clients free of these restraints. Genesys powers creative problem-solving and innovation at scale. Firms need to keep pace with the demands of its clients and markets, products and services it offers, and the changing regulatory landscape. If a legacy system cannot adapt easily or is too expensive to enhance, then it is unable to meet the needs of the business. The Genesys low-code, no-code platform is built on reusable functional and non-functional components with adapters for many existing legacy systems and interfaces. This means applications interfacing with these systems can be quickly assembled and configured with minimal lead times by incorporating these predefined business components. The solutions developed with the Genesys platform are ultra-high performant, secure, and built using next-generation best-in-class technologies. Genesys clients get from the whiteboard to deployment 5 times faster without having to deploy an army of in-house development teams. Existing solutions can easily connect to new systems, providers, and interfaces, whilst not having to rely on expensive and time-consuming modifications to legacy core systems. Redefining IT delivery. Genesys. Code less, do more. Financial markets are weighed down by large-scale incumbent vendor solutions. The new breed of challenger entrants, disrupting existing market segments, want agility, accelerated innovation, and the ability to scale on demand that simply buying an existing costly solution cannot deliver. The Genesys low-code, no-code platform is dedicated to financial markets, solving problems from complex event processing and regulatory workflow to business process management. With Genesys, you deliver the exact functionality that is required in a cost-effective way with far reduced timeframes. New entrant disruptors often specialize or differentiate within an existing market segment by identifying and exploiting inefficiencies. Incumbent vendor solutions are slow to deliver, costly to enhance, and to maintain. The Genesys low-code, no-code platform is built on reusable functional and non-functional components. This means applications can be quickly assembled and configured with minimal lead times. The solutions developed are ultra-high performant, secure, and built using next-generation best-in-class technologies. Clients get exactly what they need without having to spend vast amounts of money on large-scale vendor solutions or employ a team of developers to build an application from scratch. With Genesys, clients get from the whiteboard to deployment 5 times faster, transforming IT delivery and the traditional build versus buy paradigm. With Genesys, code less, do more. Firms need to deliver purpose-built financial markets applications that meet regulatory and security requirements, but the traditional buy and build route to market is too slow, too expensive, and does not deliver the innovation at speed required to compete and win. Genesys is the next generation of low-code, no-code platform and dedicated to financial markets. Buy to build faster has replaced the conventional buy versus build approach. It provides access to the latest tech, enables continuous delivery, and expands the pool of contributors beyond pro developers. A buy-to-build approach is needed to access the new speed of innovation. With Genesys, you deliver in weeks, not years, reducing work effort by more than 80%. The platform supports high-complexity financial markets use cases, reducing operational cost and risks. Use state-of-the-art building blocks to create applications quickly. Genesys LC/NC is an enterprise platform. It's scalable, high-performant, cloud-native, digital by design, repeatable, modular, with tools that can be replicated, adapted, and adopted, and flexible. Works across any business line, enterprise, and market. Speed to innovation is the key to today's winners in financial services. With the Genesys low-code, no-code platform, our clients can solve any need, complex or simple, developed specifically for the demands of financial markets with data models, APIs, vendor integrations, and an ever-growing library of applications. Choose to build your own or build with us. Genesys is your industry partner. Redefining IT delivery. Genesys. Code less, do more.
Well, what great animations. And of course, all of today's videos, presentations and talks are available on demand in our Now You Can zones. Just follow the links. Right, let's now speak to Brian, who is Head of Loan Portfolio Trading at Citi. Brian, can you just first of all talk us through what you get up to in your role at Citi?
So basically, what I'm responsible for is expanding our trading in the loan space. And we talk about loan portfolio trading. This is something that we created at Citi a couple of years ago with a view to expand our trading within that space. Prior to that, loans tend to trade in single trades, double trades, so 1 or 2 loans at a time. And with portfolio trading, we're introducing concepts that are not new to markets. Frankly, they've been applied in other parts of credit markets, in investment grade and equities as well. But they're definitely novel in the loan space. And at this point, we're able to service our clients, by being able to trade 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 loans at a time, which increases efficiency on which clients can put on and put off risk.
So you're spearheading some new innovations. What's that in response to? What changes are you starting to see in the market?
So the other part of my job is to then, take these, archaic markets and try to bring them bring them in line with other markets which have been automated significantly since they came about. In terms of innovations, we are looking to bring electronic trading again on auctions, for both loans and CLOs and other protocols in those spaces.
And you're spearheading some new innovations. What's that in response to? What changes are you seeing in the market?
So when we think about our markets, we tend to talk usually before the great financial crisis, after the great financial crisis. And when we look at the CLO market and loan markets specifically, what we've observed is that those markets, when you look at the outstanding balances of loan volume, CLO volume, they have doubled since the financial crisis. When you look at the trading volumes in those two spaces, they have trebled in the same amount of time. At the same time, dealer balance sheet that is dedicated to these sectors is contracted significantly. So the confluence of those two factors is increasing pressure on the market for the risk transfer process. And if we just zoom in on CLOs specifically, we see this problem manifesting itself as a huge spike in number of B-week auctions that are coming through to the market. This creates a lot of problems for both buy side and sell side, because we have traders and salespeople and traders on the buy side as well spending significant amount of time processing activity around B-weeks. We actually estimate that today, buy side and sell side are spending over 50% of their time on this B-week activity. And then when you look at the revenue contribution from this activity, is significantly lower than that. So this represents a significant problem, obviously, and a challenge to the space. No one expects that we're going to see a reversal in trading volumes in this spaces anytime soon. So if we're going to look to address the problem, we have to find other levers that will help us ease pressure on market participants. And this is where we turn to innovative solutions, which aim to reduce time and effort spent on such activity without having to compromise quality or the level of liquidity that we're providing to clients. In fact, I'll probably venture to say that as we find creative solutions to address these problems, we are building into the system capacity that is going to allow us to handle even further growth in volumes and outstanding balances in the spaces.
Great stuff. So, you're obviously constantly trying to find these new solutions to respond to this ever-increasing, changing market. How do you make sure you stay current in amongst all this rapid change?
Very important. I think as we bring innovative solutions to the fore, to the marketplace, I would say there are two things to think about. Why are you doing it, and how do you do it? On the why piece, it is very important to be clear, to clearly identify the problem that you're tackling. And once you have the problem identified, make a compelling case for the solution. The clearer and the simpler the message is, the quicker the market is going to gravitate towards the solution, and the faster you're going to get adoption on that. As to how you do it, I think this is where it gets very interesting. When you're tackling market-specific challenges, it's becoming harder to address them with large-scale traditional enterprise development processes. Those things take 12 months, or more before you have a solution in the marketplace. That's just too long at this point. That's not, you have to have things that show up in the market in a much faster turnaround time. Because by the time the solution hits the market, people have moved on to the next problem. So you've missed the window in which that solution should have been deployed. This is why we're increasingly turning to partners like Genesis, who are able to spin up critical solutions in a fraction of the time, rather than the traditional approaches that we would have otherwise considered in the past.
And you speak of, specific challenges, focusing in on the challenges of CLO. Is there anything you'd particularly like to highlight to the audience?
I think, just again on the matter that I mentioned before, which is just being very clear, one thing that sticks out on auctions, it takes 2 to 3 hours today to process a single auction. And, the solution that we're bringing to market, that work can be done within 15 to 20 minutes. So definitely looking to put more solutions like that into the marketplace.
Thank you very much, Brian. Well, I'm now delighted to welcome Stephen and Will, who's been patiently sat in the studio, hi Will, into the discussion as we're going to explore consortia and their unique challenges. Brian, let me come back to you quickly and just ask, what have you built and why have you built it?
So we have built a solution, an e-trading platform solution for loans and CLOs that's going to be focusing initially on a couple of protocols, trading B-weeks within the two products, as well as match sessions on the two products as well.
Great stuff. And Will, from a Genesis perspective, what was the process of actually building this application, and how did you make it a success?
Firstly, I'd say it's been a great experience, personally for me, working with the consortia members, and also for the company and just the team as a whole. The way we work internally is we work in 2-week sprints in an agile process. And luckily, due to the low-code and no-code development approach, we're able to bring the clients into that process. So this involves twice weekly releases and at least weekly demos with the client. From an anecdotal point of view, I can say that we were, on the loan side, we were able to spin up a testing environment within 2 weeks of starting development and demo that to the client. And this just allows us to get feedback as quickly as possible on what we're doing. I think that approach helps to get to a solution much faster than just trying to design it as much as possible before starting development. If I kind of touch on those demos, I mean, we're speaking with with traders on the ground at least weekly, if not more frequently. I mean, I've spoken to Brian quite a lot over the last year or so.
You're busy mates now.
Exactly, and other members of his team. And sometimes on a daily basis, if we're in the middle of development on an item and we have a question, we can just straight away get that into the product, onto the platform, and have them looking at it 2 or 3 days later. Another thing we've done throughout is, beyond my testing, my team's testing, and the traders' testing, we've had group testing sessions from a pretty early stage, both across CLOs and loans. Because it's an auction platform, there's only so much you can understand when you're testing on your own. So first in smaller groups, and then more recently in bigger groups of up to 20 different users on the platforms, being the seller, buy side, dealer. And that way we really get to understand the user experience, where we can improve it, and then turn that around by the time we want to do another testing session a week later or 2 weeks later. So overall, we've had so much input from everyone involved in the process, whether it's Brian and his team, other consortium members, and through that approach over the course of, I think we started development at the beginning of August. We've built out 2 protocols, and some, straight through processing, things like that.
Absolutely. Stephen, is there anything that you'd like to add to that when it comes to sort of this whole process?
No, listen, there is, I think, through this panel and talking it, obviously there's a few key things which everyone I'm sure is getting from this message: time to market, speed, agility. We had the guys doing sprint. We have 2-week sprints, but also we do releases twice a week. We have real demos with multiple members once a week, and there's a platform there literally for the matching session protocol. From the point of us actually talking about what that was going to mean, what we thought the requirements were, brainstorming, wasn't a heavy set requirements, lots of whiteboarding. 2 weeks later, a testing environment. So that was obviously really exciting. There's one thing I actually like to add on this. It's a bit more on the business side with Brian and Kasia, you're very aware of. When you're building these consortia type new platforms or really businesses, you're creating these new businesses, everyone has a different view. There's kind of some common views, but guess what? Someone's going to say, actually, I want it to be this way. What if it was this way? Man, maybe it should be this way. What's been great, I think, watched every one of the members and also the demonstrations that Brian and Will have been making to new potential members of this and also of the platform, is not only the initial set of requirements and building a great speed. Remember, what the guys are doing is truly innovative. They're taking something which is actually what's been deployed and built. It's never existed in this industry at all. So you're also moving an industry into a much more effective and efficient way to actually grow that industry. Now, to do that, it's not just the initial build out. So I think Will's touched on some great points with Brian there about how quickly Brian and Will worked, plus the other initial consortium members. Actually, there's another stage to that as well. As now Brian and Will and the team are actually going out and actually demonstrating that to the new market participants who've never seen this concept within their industry before, that again, the same process is kicking in. The same members saying, hey, what about if I could do this? Could you do this? And for them to get that feedback of identical of 2-week sprints, releases twice a week, 1-week demos, group demos with new members, I think that's truly market changing. So I think it's not just the initial setup of the consortia, it's actually how that, and I think it was Kasia mentioned before, normally it's actually you build a platform, it goes live, and then forget about it for 2-3 years. already the guys are in prototype mode. The guys knowing that they've got that ability to get that same feedback loop. So I think that's the only thing I would add. I think it's a game changer, but it's not just been, just to be clear, it's not just been the Genesys low-code, no-code platform. I think there's been real thought leadership from Brian and Katya in this space, which really helped drive this innovation as well. So it's a combination of all parties, and now other parties are also realizing, wow, we can do what Brian and Katya done of being able to build new industries. And wow, this low code, no code, now is the time we can do that. But this never existed before. So that would be the only thing I would add.
And Brian, how did you find this experience of, being able to rapidly prototype and sort of have your say on what you think would work better?
I think it's terrific and absolutely critical to getting things out of the market in a quick period of time. I really like the twice a week conversations, right? That lead to we have a conversation on Monday or Tuesday, and then on Thursday, Friday, you're seeing the results of that, right? So, and what that allows for is quick course correction, right? What may seem like a great idea on Monday, when you see it on a screen, you may have a different take on it. And the ability to actually give that feedback and see that change means that when you are down 1 month, 2 months, you're in a significantly better place, as opposed to the old way of doing this, where you give requirements, you wait for 4 months, and then you get something at that point that is probably not what you wanted, right? Because people have interpreted that. So that quick response, I think, creates for great products that are much closer to what the user expected from the beginning.
Brilliant stuff. Well, let's now move into the final stage of the discussion, as we're going to have sort of 3 key questions or talking points that I'm going to put to you, and I'd love for each of you to give your response on it. So the first talking point is this: keeping in line with agile methodology, the platform should allow you to fail quickly and bounce back for a truly iterative approach. Can you discuss your experience with low-code agility? Who would like to take this first? Katya, I feel like we haven't heard from you for a little bit, so it would be great to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the whole kind of point of engaging Genesys, was ability to iterate really, really quickly. And the way we got to this consortium, I think, is a very important kind of starting point. We had a single dealer platform. So what we have built with Genesys is a multi-dealer platform that has a lot of other dealers kind of on board as participants, as investors. It's something that's really meant for the market. But when we initially started, we already have built something, and that's, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong, but it took years, and it was before my time at Citi, but it was a single dealer platform that essentially just handled a portion of what we currently have built with Genesys in Project Octopus. But we have tested, we brought it to market, we tested it with clients, we realized the client demand is there. And then the next thing is how you actually get other dealers on board for this. And this is where you have 2 ways. There is the old way of kind of building it, and there is the new way, or at least the way that we try to build it. The old way is you come up with that idea, you put it on paper, and then you spend a year just discussing the idea, then you spend another year or 2 developing in a very traditional way, maybe using your own technology, maybe using a technology developer, a traditional technology developer, but you spend kind of a year just getting there, and then you show it to the market, and then you get feedback, and then you spend another year kind of accumulating that feedback and adjusting to that feedback. In this case, we built something before we even showed it to the market. We built it together with one partner, one other dealer, but really it was, a very, very small group. But within 3 months, we actually had something to show. And the moment we were ready to show that, we didn't just show a mock-up. We showed a real prototype. We let people test in real time. We let people really contribute their thoughts, and we're building to those thoughts, and we'll continue building even when we launch and keep improving the protocols and functionality of the platform. So that's where agility and time, it's not just time to market, it's time to showing what we have to people. That's really made a huge, huge difference in this case.
Oh, and when you say those timelines, my gosh, there's such a contrast between the two of how they work together. Will, is there anything else that you'd like to add to that point when it comes to agility?
Yeah, all I'd say is, just to give a real life example of maybe my morning today is, we're at the beginning of a sprint. So on Friday, we spoke to Brian and his team and the other traders, and we run them through our priorities for the next 2 weeks and exactly what we're going to deliver. And they can tell us, they can reprioritize the order, they can say, oh no, this is much more important. And even though we then set out what we're going to deliver, if something changes, we're very flexible, we can change that. We also, as quickly as possible, will get something in front of them. So I think probably tomorrow we're going to be updating the test site so that they can have a look at a new feature we've developed and give us feedback. I also know that I have the ability in our development environment to get on a quick Zoom call and show it off and get feedback straight away. So instead of, disappearing for a month to build something and then saying, here it is, we're showing them, exactly how it looks in its rawest form through the process so that we can deliver it in a matter of weeks rather than months in a way that they exactly want.
Amazing, amazing. Let's move on to the second question. And Stephen, I think this one is for you. So you often talk about it's not low code versus no code, it's low code and no code. It's about different types of users, developers, and even new citizen developers. Can you just elaborate a little bit more on that?
Of course. This is something very emotional about. So
You're passionate about this. You make sure you get it right.
I like this one. So yeah, look, I think it's after running multiple technology organizations, being a CTO, being a head of electronic trading, I'm very passionate about being able to deliver business value, as well as also making sure that developers and people in the organization are adding as much value as possible to the business goals. So right now with no code versus low code, we don't really see it as something of versus, because that's just the history of these low code, no code tools. And really that's the history of BPM. So let's talk about business process management, RPA. There's a lot of low code tools that were built for that type of use case. And because they were built for that type of use case, they're all competing for BPM, RPA business. That's how they're competing. And you've now have some no-code platforms in that space. Again, and everyone's trying to differentiate themselves. So no-code is kind of a new concept of citizen developer. There has been a shortage of developers on the planet. Citizen developers are more your BA type, business analyst type people. So what happened is that where you've got this whole go-to-market strategy of some of the low-code, no-code vendors is about talking about the differences of low-code versus no-code. It's because they're very much focused on generic cross-industry BPM, RPA type use cases. We think about it very, very, very differently. And I think you're going to see, and I've already seen this change, by the way, of other low-code, no-code platform providers trying to actually position it of low-code and no-code. And really for us, low-code is supercharging developers, and no-code is that citizen developer world. Now, again, why do I want to talk about the Genesys stance to why we were always pro low code and no code? We're always like, that is going to be our strategy. Well, really, because we come from it from a complex event process in CEP, EDA, event-driven architecture. These are very complex things. This is low latency data distribution. This is high throughput transactional data. It's being able to process complex transaction events. And those things are very, very important in a variety of use cases in financial markets. So our approach was build that bottom up, then put the low-code tooling around that. And now what we're doing is putting a no-code tooling on top of that so that the citizen developers get the same power and the same tools to do the really complex things all the way through to the BPM type use cases, the simple use cases. So that's we're taking a very different approach. I think this whole no-code versus low-code is basically been there more because of historically what's happening of the industry, of BPM. But it's very different for us because we've attacked the complex use cases, come down to the simple ones. But we believe whether or not you're a normal developer, whether or not you're a citizen developer, we believe, and our goal is that you should get the same set of tools. You should be able to do these things. So that's why we like to distinguish that we're not low code versus no code. You'll hear a lot of that. I think you'll hear a lot of people change that, by the way. But we very much always have been low code and no code. It just differs who the type of user or developer is of the platform.
So you're very much available to everyone. Thank you very much, Stephen. Okay, my third and final discussion point for you guys is this. We know financial markets are different. It's not just a technology problem, there is an industry problem. And having the industry experiences is invaluable because you understand the industry problems, not generic IT issues or challenges. What are the panel's thoughts on this? Does anyone like to take this first?
Yeah, I can take a step.
Go on, Brian, jump in, my friend.
So the way that we do business in most financial markets is, to think about it in terms of a crowd, right? So, a good example is when we're talking about these auctions, right? This is definitely a crowdsourced activity. You need different participants on there. So you have a seller, you're going to have dealers, so different banks who are providing liquidity into that auction. You're going to have other participants, other buy-side participants who are also providing liquidity and getting value out of the process. So because of that, it necessitates different entities kind of interacting together. That's why when we are developing solutions for problems like that, it's important to get buy-in from all those constituents. It's not enough to just satisfy the banks, for instance, right? If the buy side sees that this isn't advantageous to them, they're not going to participate, and the whole thing can collapse. So it it necessitates a collaborative effort across the industry. And when we talk about industry, we're talking about the dealers, and the sell side and the buy side in this case. So that's how we develop. That's why we develop these solutions in consortium form, really to embrace the whole community and the market that is participating in those activities.
Yeah, you have all those stakeholders involved. Guys, that does almost bring us to the end of today's panel. I'd love to just go around each of you and just sort of get one final thought. Katya, is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience at home with?
Yeah, I think what Brian was just mentioning about appealing to the crowd, and in this case, crowd being the broader financial industry, is extremely important. And as my daily job, I look at new companies, new technologies all the time. And very often you have either one side or the other side. You either have an interesting business plan, but no technology really built already. And this, in consortiums, that tends to be very often the case. It takes a while to build technology. Or you have excellent piece of technology, but not really market scale or integration or buy-in from the industry. And the hardest thing is to come up with kind of two things at the same time. So when we look at Genesis and then we think about broader low-code space, we don't just look at them as, this is the project, please help us build this, let's build this together. We actually look at them and say, okay, here are other 5 companies where you can be really, really helpful to get them. They might have great idea, for example, they might have really good buy-in, but they're just not there technologically. So you almost like plug in low code into companies where everything else is ready, but there is no technology. And you can also go the other way around. You can come up with a great kind of tech solution, but not really business around it. And sometimes all it takes is just a front end, something interactive for clients. And we also looking at Genesis in those cases where we have already built tech internally or with a partner, and we're just looking to kind of bring it into this market ready state. So that's really the appeal of low code for us. Is there are so many different use cases, but almost in every platform, every company that we see, there is a very, very natural plugin, and the interaction tends to be really easy. People see that you don't have to go and convince them. And as you know, engineers and developers are the hardest people to convince. They see it once, and you don't have to go back and convince them for 6 months that this is the solution.
And that point very much plays into Stephen's low code and no code, not versus low code. Will, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I'd just say, building on that, because we're working specifically in the financial markets and capital markets industry, although we have a lot of expertise in the industry, starting with Stephen and other members of the company, the best thing about our rapid development is it allows our clients, in this case the traders, to almost get their developer hat on and to help develop and design the system themselves. But it also allows us to get our trading hat on and really understand how the mind of a trader works when they're using the system. Because that way, from both points of view, we come much faster to a solution that works for the traders themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Brian, any final thoughts from you?
Timing is everything. I think it's definitely the time for low code now. There are huge, significant problems in the credit markets that low-code and agile development process facilitates. And we're looking forward to seeing more solutions from Stephen and team.
No pressure then, Stephen. Any final thoughts from you?
Firstly, just listen, great thanks for Brian and Katja to be on the panel as well as yourself and Will. I think the two things actually. Number one, these things are not possible if we didn't have our clients and partners really believing in us, and also believing, I wouldn't just say in the technology, but by all of us believing in that the world can change, this industry can change. And one for the audience, I think, is really, so one final point is that there's a lot of noise around low code, no code. I think it's great for everyone, by the way. I think it's not just great for Genesys. I think it's great for the industry. I think it's great for other low code, no code platform providers. I would just say that as the audience and potential clients of Genesys evaluate those, just trying to look at the things that they're really trying to build on the platform and the variety of breadth of types of use cases. I think it's really important right now that that they get some real good understanding for the benefit of our clients, as well as low code and no code platform providers, to really understand what the real capabilities are and what complex really is versus what people think they may perceive complex as. So that's that. And also thank you for hosting as always. And thanks everyone to on the panel.
Well, I will give my gratitude back to you guys, Stephen, Katja, Brian and Will. Thank you so much for all your insights there. That was really, really fascinating. And just a reminder that all of today's videos, presentations and talks are available on demand in our Now You Can zones. Just follow the links. welcome to the closing session of day one. What a fabulous set of presentations and panels we've enjoyed. To round off this Our Industry Day, we've brought together our Investor Insights panel, and I'm delighted to be joined by some of the industry's leading figures in technology investment. Tom Hume, General Partner and Head of Europe at GV, Andre Basabueno, Partner at Excel, Alex Kayal, Partner and Head of International at Salesforce Ventures. They're going to be joined by Stephen Murphy, CEO and co-founder of Genesys, and sharing with us the role their firms play in spotting and championing technology innovation, how low-code is no-code is transforming IT delivery, what attracted them to Genesys, and the opportunities and plans for the months ahead. First, let me talk you through how we have structured this section of our show. To start, we'll share an interview I had with Tom chatting about GV, about low code, no code, and what excites them about the unique proposition that is Genesys. I'll then be joined by Andre, Alex, and Stephen as we chat industry trends, Genesys, and how low code, no code is changing the build versus buy paradigm in financial institutions. And I will be hosting a panel discussion exploring industry themes and drives in a little more detail. So to get us underway, I sat down earlier with Tom from Google Ventures. Tom, can you please introduce yourself and Google Ventures?
It would be an absolute pleasure, and thank you for having me. So GV is an independent, return-driven fund. We were spun out of Google in 2009. And we've been scaling each year since then. So we now have 300 active portfolio companies, about $5 billion under management. We invest across consumer, so businesses like Uber or Lemonade, across enterprise investments, businesses like Slack, like Stripe, like Genesys Global, and across life science businesses, so businesses like Flatiron or Vaccitech, which was the creator of the AstraZeneca vaccine. We really seek out businesses that we think we can have a positive impact on, but more importantly, businesses themselves that will have a positive global impact and can potentially disrupt a traditional industry and ultimately give consumers better experiences. And we tend to focus on the US, Europe, and Israel. So I'm a general partner at GV. I lead the European team, and so I'm very much a generalist. I invest across all of those sectors, but have spent a significant time on fintech now. So lucky enough to have led our investment in Currency Cloud, in Go Cardless, in blockchain.com, and obviously Genesys most recently.
Now, before we come to the question on Genesys, what first attracted GV to low code, and why low code, no code? You just touched upon fintech and all these different areas. What was it about this technology that caught your eye?
So, I mean, the way we think about the potential of low code is actually by looking at a kind of systemic problem in the talent supply, the talent marketplace globally. So on the one hand, you have a really rapidly rising demand for new applications. We think that's growing something in the region of 20% per year. That won't be a surprise to any of you watching this. It's a function of accessible cloud, more mobile compute, and actually a handset, a supercomputer in more of our hands, an explosion of data as a result of that. And then actually, ironically, partly the pandemic as well has created this huge tailwind where more and more people are building digital products. So you've got a huge demand for new applications. Now that demand has to be met by technical development, by devs actually building the products. Now that's a pretty inelastic supply. The talent is coming through pretty traditional colleges and occasionally apprenticeships, etc., or on-the-job training. But we think that actually that talent pipeline is growing something more like 5% per year. So you've got the demand for new applications growing at 20% per year, the talent pool only growing by 5% per year. That is a huge and growing gap. Now, to put numbers behind that, that might be 500 million new, more complicated apps over the next few years. And currently there are only 26 million developers. So we think that this gap is creating a huge need and a huge market opportunity. And low code and no code is a way to actually fill that gap. It probably does it, when successful, in three ways. Number one, it will make developers more productive, significantly more productive when the tools are right. Number two, it enables developers to actually offload development and sometimes components of the app to non-technical workers, but people with domain expertise, people that understand the problem, people that will actually be able to iterate based on their own experience and their own needs. We think that's really important because firstly, you design better products when the end user is involved. But secondly, there are far more talented people out there that are actually capable of doing the work. So if you've got 25 million developers globally, you have 1.7 billion global knowledge workers. Perhaps low code and no code can start to turn some of those global knowledge workers, that 1.7 billion, into productive app creators and help meet the gap. And I guess the final benefit, above and beyond the sort of more productive developers and actually enabling and empowering non-technical workers, is the fact that great low code and no code solutions enable you to ideate and iterate faster. You can create a proof of concept faster than ever before in human history. So we no longer need to write lengthy business plans. We no longer need to kind of spend too much time raising investment for new ideas. We can use these tools to create things faster. So when you boil down those three benefits, our hope and our belief is that actually roughly 2/3 of application development will involve some low code or no code by 2024.
Well, we're feeding the insatiable appetite for software, the ideation process, and the ability to get closer to the finish line when you start a problem, collaborating above the glass between knowledge experts and computer programmers and developers. When did Genesys catch your eye, and why Genesys?
So we've been tracking low-code, no-code platforms for a long time, for a few years now. And actually, we were inspired to see the first generation impact. So the first generation platforms were built for workflow automation. They were built for relatively simple use cases, often business process management, or BPM it's often called. They're often kind of less no-code than we would be led to believe. You know, they're sometimes challenging Trojan horses to actually sell services. But fundamentally, they started to pick off some of these simple use cases very effectively. Subsequently, they've often run into scaling and integration issues, often security issues. Like, it's incredibly difficult with very simple early first generation platforms to plug in to the actual workflow of the user. So we believe that kind of post this experience with the first generation, we can now start to see the next generation platforms coming through that might actually address some of those needs. So, you know, the next generation, we believe, has to be built for a breadth of use cases and highly specialist often. So, you know, in financial markets, has to be built for very high performance, maybe processing huge transaction volumes, or has to be built for very complex use cases. In financial markets, like event-driven architecture, huge processing requirements per second, has to be built for resilience, for security, and also for flexibility. So we're excited actually to identify this next generation cohort of low-code platforms that will actually start to address some of the challenges with the first generation. And ultimately, that is what we think Genesys is. We think actually they are the best, the absolute leading next generation low-code platform specifically for financial markets. You know, they're scalable. The platform itself took years to build. I mean, you cannot take a lean startup methodology here and write 5 lines of code and sell it. James and Stephen actually had to spend years building the minimum viable platform to make this work. We love the team itself. Like, James and Stephen have deep industry experience. You know, Stephen has experience of running teams of over 250 people. He has held tech budgets himself of over $100 million. He absolutely understands these problems and will be customer centric. He's going to be extremely empathic to the end user needs in this case. And as a result, they've now got early but very happy customers. Through the process, we spoke to a handful of the Genesys customers, and without exception, they were all delighted with the product and could see how many different applications that it might be kind of pointed towards. So we think that actually Genesys Global is the company best placed globally to actually meet the needs, the sort of low-code next-gen needs for financial markets.
We heard from another Genesys client, Citibank, earlier today, announcing their series funding round and sharing their thoughts around consortia with the Octopus platform and collateralized loan obligations. Do you see greater problems like this being tackled in fintech and greater adoption of low-code to no-code? Wearing your fintech hat and challenging those problems, can you share with our audience some of the problems that you see low-code, no-code solving in the future?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It'd be a pleasure. So at the start of this conversation, I summarised why I think the two forces that I think are kind of at play here and act as a tailwind for low code. They were specifically a demand for new applications and that increasing, and actually a really anemic growth in technical development of talent. I think that those are both true to an extreme in financial markets. The applications are becoming more complex because of compliance, because they're international, because they're across companies. It's less and less true that these companies and Genesys customers, financial services businesses generally, can build full stack solutions, monoliths that aren't going to subsequently change. These companies now understand they need to build for flexibility. They need to build more applications and more complex applications than they ever have before. And they can't access the talent, the developers that can build it from scratch. So low code is kind of unusually, it's important across all swathes of the economy, but we think it's extra important into financial markets for those reasons. Select the right low code partner. Building on top of these next generation, well-funded low-code platforms gives you flexibility for the future. The platform will continue to be invested in, and there's huge option value in that. You can build for one application, and actually just what we've seen is there's this great expansion that once one application is seen, it will trigger the imagination and the creativity of the teams inside the organizations to look for others. So first thing is select the right partner. Second thing is actually bring the customer and the end user into the process more than has happened before. You build better products as a result, and low code unlocks that by actually making the iteration cycle shorter.
Well, Tom, thank you so much for joining us. Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm now delighted to be joined in the studio by Andre Brasaverno, partner at Accel, Alex Kayal, partner at Salesforce Ventures, and of course, Stephen Murphy, co-founder of Genesys. A very good afternoon to you all. So, Andre, let me start with you. Can you just talk to us a little bit about how Accel actually work in this area?
For sure, happy to. So, as you may know, Accel is one of the leading venture capital firms, and we actually have a very strong heritage in enterprise automation. We've backed industry leaders, which I'm sure some of the banks and financial services companies in the audience will be very familiar with, such as UiPath in hyperautomation and RPA, Celonis, a company in execution management and process mining, or Rasa in conversational AI. And what we really believe is that low code, no code presents the next frontier of enterprise automation. If you think of many large enterprises and banks, and the reality with many banks and large enterprises that they sit on a lot of legacy software that's very difficult to maintain. It's very costly to build, and in the end slows many of these companies down. And what we really like is that low code and no code can really help enterprises get to market faster with an order of magnitude better product, cheaper, and much more effective. And more broadly, what we're really excited is about the democratization aspect of low code, no code. If you think of knowledge workers today, you have a billion plus folks sitting in front of their screens, but maybe 1% of them know how to code. And it's as if 1% of people know how to write when the rest of the population knows how to read. And what we're really excited is that this way, with low code, no code, we can empower the 99% to become creators and finally have a voice in terms of the tools they use on a day-to-day basis and contribute to the software the organizations provide.
Yes, it'd be enormous, the contribution that you'll get from sort of giving people access to those tools. Alex, let me bring you into the conversation now. Can you talk to me a little bit about Salesforce Ventures and how you guys interact with low code, no code? I mean, there's been enormous demand for software and apps in this area, hasn't there?
Yeah, thanks, Georgie. I mean, I guess first to start with Salesforce Ventures, I suppose the name gives us away. We're the strategic investment arm of Salesforce. We've been investing for the past 12 years. If you look at Salesforce's history, we've always had in our DNA a kind of rising tide will lift all boats as part of that kind of ecosystem strategy. And so when we started investing, it was really with a simple idea, which is, could we start to help accelerate the growth of some of these software companies? Fast forward today, we've deployed over $4 billion into some of the world's leading software companies, including businesses like Snowflake, Zoom, Hopin, Gong, and others. And fundamentally, our goal is to partner with very disruptive and innovative businesses that are seeing the future in a similar way as Salesforce is. And we couldn't be more excited to be partnering with Steven and Genesys. I think what they're doing is super exciting and really the future of automation. You talked about kind of what we're seeing across low code and no code. And it's a hugely exciting time in software. I mean, if you take a step back, just looking at the last 12 months, we've seen through COVID, obviously a very difficult time for many, but it's highlighted the importance of software in terms of getting through this crisis in this challenging times. I think businesses today, they really want to be reconnected with their customers. They want to reimagine their businesses in new ways, and they really want to do this at speed. I think as consumers, we all expect to interface with companies at a faster way than ever today, and companies have to respond to that pressure. And I think what we've seen in the market is there's just a big divide, there's a big gap between what companies are able to provide based on the tools they have and what kind of companies want to be able to do for their customers. And so I think that's where something like Genesys is so exciting, where that's kind of almost that skills gap disappears. In terms of actually how do you form agility and transformation in a very rapid manner, Genesys is able to do that. And that's one of the big reasons we were so excited about the investment. And that's a broader trend we're seeing now. IT teams in general just have limited capacity. And I think what we're seeing is ultimately as that agility kind of is mission critical, companies are betting their future on how fast they can innovate here. And we see low code as a big almost kind of accelerant to make that happen, because ultimately, not everyone's going to be able to write code, and we don't think their future requires that. So we're investing both as a company at Salesforce in this direction, but also as Salesforce Ventures into a lot of the innovation that's happening in companies like Genesys.
Absolutely. Dissolving the skills gap. I think that's such a brilliant sort of quote. Steven, let me bring you into the conversation because, you obviously are this sort of disruptive, innovative company that they're speaking about. Can you just share us a little bit about your background with your journey with Genesys?
Listen, firstly, it's what Andre and Alex said. We thought there had to be a better way to build software. Time to market is critical. So we lived and breathed this industry for a number of years. And we started the company really, so we looked at it and said, there's got to be a better way to build software. It's got to be cheaper. It's got to be easier. And it's got to be quicker to get time to market. And something that Andre mentioned actually was that change in that traditional model of buy versus build. And really what we're seeing is that people now want to buy to build. Especially in the financial markets, is very much legacy vendors versus building things yourself. And really what low code and no code has done is allowed us to actually produce and build a platform which allows our clients to build on that platform and giving them that time to market. Just like Alex mentioned, time to market, speed. We as people, we have clients, of consumers, never mind enterprise companies, time to market, innovation, speed. And I think it's not just our clients, also our partners. We see a number of consulting companies and other software companies actually who are coming to Genesys to build applications drastically quicker and at a much more reduced cost as well. So it's been an interesting history. In terms of journey, something else you alluded to, we kind of internally call it SpaceX, but we call it actually Genesys X. So we're really pushing the boundaries about the way we think we build software, the way the entire industry builds software. So in turn, it's kind of codenamed Genesis X, and we love it because our clients are really bought into that vision, our partners are bought into that vision, and also really importantly, the likes of Andrea at Excel and Alex at Salesforce and Tom at Google are really bought into that vision of changing our industry. So when you mention journey, I always tell the team and our clients it's very much a Genesis X journey.
Genesis X. Well, we'll try and get that trending then, Stephen. Andre, these sort of qualities, innovation, agility, quick to market, are these the sort of things that attracted you to Genesis?
For sure, it's really interesting where in our first conversations with Stephen, we were blown away by what they have built, and we recognize many of the elements of what we see in special companies we back. I would say there are a few key pillars in our decision. One has been the sheer platform superiority. It's pretty rare to see a low-code platform that can deliver the scale and performance and usability Genesis is providing. And low-code, no-code has become a very popular buzzword these days, but you kind of have to really dig under the hood to see that there's a real platform and a strong product behind. And we're really blown away. Both in terms of the high throughput applications you can build, serving many transactional systems, as well as the depth of integrations. So the Genesis makes it very easy to replace legacy vendors, to choose them instead of other vendors because they're plugged into all the core system a bank or capital markets firm may need, so you can get up and running very fast. A second pillar, I would say, is the raving customer references. And oftentimes for all the investments we do, we love speaking with customers, hear from their mouths what they think. And in this case, the feedback was very consistent on and on. Every single customer we spoke with, in that they loved the relationship with Genesis, how fast they could deploy, and how keen they are to develop it further on the platform. And that's always a great sign. And last, I would say, Stephen and his team are really leaders we can get behind. We're incredibly excited that they chose us as partners. And I would say the combination of a relentless ambition, as well as a strong pursuit of what customers need and really actually shipping and developing that really excites us. And we're happy to rally our whole team and resources available to really support them in their journey.
Absolutely. Stephen, full marks for your homework. So, that was a glowing review.
They were incredibly prepared.
Glowing review. Alex, how do you see your relationship with low-code, no-code evolving? So what's next for you in the story of low-code, no-code?
Yeah, and I just couldn't agree more with some of the points Andre just mentioned around kind of thesis there. I think it kind of speaks to the excitement for how we see the future evolving. I think a couple of things that come to mind. I think first of all, for me, is the importance of really industry-specific solutions. If you're a financial institution, you have a process and a way of doing things that's very particular to your business, and that kind of complexity is very specific to your domain and your line of business. And so, one of the things we think is so interesting about Genesis in the future they're bringing to market is that kind of deep industry focus and specialization. Obviously, Stephen and the team have a wealth of experience here to understand those complexities like no one else. And so, for me, a huge part of the future of no-code is kind of very industry specific, as opposed to some of these more broad, generalized platforms. They're trying to kind of solve everyone's issue in the same way. I just think we're at a point now where that's not where the future lies. So that's number one. Number two, I think, is the importance of automation. We've kind of seen this development curve. Low-code is a great starting point where it really bridges that gap between what code people want to write and what they want to be able to produce. But the next iteration of that is automation. How do you introduce more smarter features, to really speed up development even further? And so I think the future direction of what Genesis is doing there is super exciting for us as we look at not just kind of the ability to deploy code, but the way of doing it from an automated perspective. And then lastly, I think collaboration is a huge focus for us as we think about low-code, no-code. Part of the challenge with the silos that exist in legacy software today is that it's very hard to collaborate across teams within a company, let alone across companies outside of your organization. And so I think the future for us of low code and where Genesys will be going is that kind of transformation from a collaboration perspective as well to drive speed and execution. So those are three things that we're most excited about as we think about kind of the frontier and where we're going.
Well, that sort of collaboration is something that we explored quite a lot already in a panel discussion earlier today, where we were speaking with Citi and the cross-industry initiatives. Stephen, what sort of opportunities do these cross-industry initiatives present for Genesys? It must be huge.
Yeah, it's massive. I think, again, it comes back down to that the industry requires a new way of thinking about how to build and deploy and support software. And the old buy versus build paradigm has just been completely turned upside down now. So I think with Genesys, both with our partners, with our investors, has been amazing with them over the last few months and with the journey we've got ahead of us. So I think everything's getting rethought about now. So to give you an example, obviously Citibank today, major consortium, multi-dealer, complex trading platform. Guess what? They could have really couldn't have stood out themselves. If they looked at the time to market of using a consulting company or using one of the old legacy tech vendors, they were talking years, not weeks and months. So I think that's a great example. So consortiums where firms get together and say, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a more efficient way. There's got to be able to get this time to market. But it's not just when they do that as a group. So I know we have ING on the event, and we've also had ING on prior events. But even if you look at syndicated loans, credit insurance for syndicated loans with ING, that was actually something that nothing ever existed. And ING come to us and said, hey, we want to change this industry. We want to make it more efficient. We want to optimize it. And if we do that, we will actually grow the industry. So there's more revenue for them and arguably their competitors. So in that case, it was quite different, actually. It was ING coming to spearhead something. And us, again, all of that was built on Genesys. And then we've grown a number of clients off the back of that. So I just want to give those two examples. There's everything from really complex multi-dealer consortium trading platforms with some of the largest banks, if not the largest banks in the world, all the way through down to very specific applications. But again, firms like ING chose to build with Genesys versus buy from a vendor and or try and build themselves. So I think there's a huge spectrum there. I think the whole industry is ripe for change, and really they really want true innovation now, and that in themselves actually can increase their own revenues or the whole market's revenues. So super exciting.
Yeah, I think that sort of that piece about the whole industry actually benefits of these things being created. That does almost bring us to the end of this session. Andre, can I just leave you with any final thoughts that you'd like to leave the audience with?
For sure, I would say, both Stephen and Alex alluded to this, but we really think low code is the future. And to us, it's a matter of when and not if. I really think, the same way we've seen cloud, whether private, public, hybrid, having a very transformational impact on enterprises all across the world, within low code and no code can have a similar level of impact. And if you look at large financial service organizations today, they have custom software and third-party vendors. We think the IT stack of tomorrow will look as custom software, third-party vendors, and low-code, no-code. And we see the third pillar becoming more and more important as we go. So that's why I'm incredibly excited about the opportunity Genesys has ahead of us.
Absolutely. When and not if. Alex, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think first of all, I think some of the examples Stephen just mentioned there with customers really resonate. So for me, last thoughts would be number one, I think low code, no code is going to be this enabler that allows for digital transformation to take pace at an even faster rate. This digital transformation journey that banks and financial institutions have been on is just getting started from our perspective, and we see this as a huge accelerant. So that's number two. And then lastly, we think software is already becoming proliferating across the tech landscape. And we think this development of low-code, no-code with companies like Genesys is only going to make software even more a permanent kind of fixture of the IT stack for these companies as they look to develop software to solve real huge, complex customer needs in quicker time.
Great. And Stephen, anything you would like to end on?
Yeah, no, I think firstly, the guys have done a great job for summarizing that. I think two key things for me are buy to build. Really think I can actually buy a platform to start building what I need and what I want and what the industry needs. And that's really rethinking that traditional buy versus build model. So that's number one. And the second thing is there's a lot of good hype and noise around low code, no code. But really think about what those first generation low code, no code platforms were built for. It's really been built for citizen developers, a developer shortage, relatively simple workflows. Where we're positioning Genesys is that next generation. Core systems, highly complex, transactional throughput, latency sensitive. So I would say, guys, please rethink buy to build instead of buy versus build, and already think about, as Alex and Andre mentioned, low code, no code is here to stay. It's going to become one of those 3 pillars you can imagine of building software. But really think about what the first generation we think of it versus this next generation of platforms.
Great stuff. And Stephen, also, this is the end of day 1. So is there any sort of final thoughts that you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, really simple. Firstly, Andre, Alex, really appreciate you guys being part of today's panel. I think we've had an amazing set of people and clients, partners come and speak with us today. So everyone from Citibank, so all of the participants, thank you for being part of the event, and also all the participants coming tomorrow. There's got another long lineup for the tech event tomorrow. Secondly, everyone is watching. If you're live, you're recorded, you're watching this recorded, thank you for being part of this in itself by watching the event. And thirdly, the whole Genesys team and the event organizers. So thank you for making the event happen. It's never easy. So really appreciate everyone who's put their time and energy into bringing the whole thing together. So thank you.
Well, some excellent insights there from the investors, and that actually brings us to the end of day 1. But do make sure you join us tomorrow for day 2 and our technology day, which is going to be kicking off at 2 p.m. We'll have a session on low code, no code advantage, tools and technology, where you'll learn how Genesys solves key industry challenges, reducing costs of servicing your clients through digital transformation, with a deeper look at the tools and tech. Then at 3 o'clock, we will explore building a modern IT team. And that's going to be split over 3 parts. In part 1, we'll hear insight from our first industry roundtable with ING, Google Ventures, Linux Foundation, Salesforce and Symphony on increasing awareness of adoption of low-code, no-code in financial markets. Part 2 is going to start at 4 and we'll be joined by the Linux Foundation discussing their work and the role of low-code, no-code in accelerated delivery. And then we will bring our Now You Can festival to a close with part 3 as Genesys discuss how low-code, no-code aids diversity with their partner Coding Black Females. So before we head off, here's a little look back at day 1. Thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
It was actually just too good to be true. And that prompted us to do what I would consider the longest due diligence I've ever seen from technology perspectives.
Genesys is rarely the whole solution. The platform can be the glue that orchestrates workflow between many systems. The platform's back-end server has a powerful suite of technical integrations, industry adapters and APIs, which you'll hear about tomorrow, so our clients can leverage Genesys to build around legacy systems and major vendor packages to enhance their product offerings at significantly reduced time to market.
They are the best, the absolute leading next generation low-code platform specifically for financial markets. You know, they're scalable. The platform itself took years to build. I mean, you cannot take a lean startup methodology here and write 5 lines of code and sell it. James and Stephen actually had to spend years building the minimum viable platform to make this work.
We created Genesys as the enterprise solution for everyone within the financial markets. Whether you are migrating from your legacy technical architecture, integrating to legacy vendor technologies, all the way through to building completely complex trading venues, the Genesys platform is the platform of choice.
The dashboard has all key information in one place, and combined with the notification and alerts will keep the client well informed throughout the trading day. Last but certainly not least, thank you for watching.
What are the people at Genesys like?
Everyone's very welcoming. Everyone is very team-oriented. We're constantly, because of the nature of our work, we don't just work in silos.
The people at Genesys, they are passionate people, they are smart people, tech-driven, business-driven, and very friendly.
Everyone here is really passionate about what they do and also incredibly knowledgeable, so I really learn a lot from everyone.
It is a fabulous experience in that people are really enthusiastic, they're collaborative, they're innovative, they're creative.
One of the main things I look for when in my job is to learn a lot, especially as a technologist, and Genesys really offers that.
This is a team of people that are great at what they do.
I feel my opinions are respected here. They are so knowledgeable, they believe in knowledge sharing. It's fun to work with all of them.
You know, people here are very open, very creative, very competent in what they do, and we encourage and foster people to, you know, go beyond just what the scope is, and so it's really dynamic and rewarding, I think, intellectually and as a development as well for everyone.
I would describe the culture at Genesys as being ambitious, as being creative, as being collaborative.
At Genesys, you're always learning. It doesn't matter if you've been in the industry for 20 years or you're a new graduate. I think everybody's learning.
I would say it's collaborative, it's fast-paced, delivery-driven.
The culture at Genesys is very energetic, very passionate, but also really supportive.
Very friendly, very hardworking, ambitious.
Really supportive. Coming into Genesys from the outside, you're instantly welcomed. You feel that you all have one vision, so there's a collective ownership in what you're doing, and I think there's something about that in delivering something together which is really empowering.
My work is important here, my work is valued, and I can see what I do every day adds value to the company.
As a salesperson, you need to believe in what you're selling, and I absolutely do believe in Genesys and what we're trying to do.
I love the people, the culture, the climate, the opportunity, the ambition.